Okay, dear students, today we have joined now to discuss about drug degradation. So, in future, as you are going to study the stability studies, the forced degradation studies, and an insight into impurity profiling, first of all, you need to know what drug degradation is. So, to understand what degradation is, let us just take an example of our food. So we all know that food has to be well preserved if we want it to retain its quality. If the raw materials such as rice and wheat grains are not stored at proper temperature and humidity, they are spoiled by microbial contamination. This is a general example I am giving you, dear students, to understand about degradation. So food is spoiled by three varieties of decomposition, that is physical, chemical, and microbiological decomposition. So for example, our rice grains, if they are left as it is, they can stay for more time, maybe for years together. If it is made into flour, it is less stable and it may develop a musty odor and a off color within few months. And if the rice is processed into food, that means if you cook the rice into an eatable food, then it may only stay for few hours. So what is the information that you are getting from this general example is, uh, the more you process a substance, the less stable it becomes. The more you process a substance, the less stable it becomes. And the more contact with water also, it becomes less stable. This is the information what we get regarding degradation with a general example of our rice. So similarly, like pure drugs, solids, liquids or gases are also usually um, more stable than their formulations. Pure drugs, solids, liquids or gases are more stable than their formulations. Because as we have learned from the general example, the more we process, the less stable the substance becomes, and the more the substance comes into contact with water, the less stable it becomes. Then let us discuss some more examples. When we talk about stability, usually we talk about two varieties of stability. That is the stability of the drug or the API and the stability of the active pharmaceutical ingredient and the stability of the formulation. We are talking about two stabilities. That is stability of active pharmaceutical ingredient and stability of formulation. For example, a capsule may become soft and an emulsion may break, a suspension may cake, and an ointment may bleed if it loses its stability. So when stability is lost, for example, a capsule may become very soft, an emulsion may break, and a suspension may cake, and an ointment may bleed. Even if the solid powders or APIs are stored at ideal temperatures and humidity conditions also, we can observe certain degradation even in APIs also. But more and faster degradation is observed in processed or formulated drugs. So different types of degradations we can discuss. The first one is microbial degradation. The next degradations are chemical degradations, physical degradations. These degradations we can discuss. Also degradation because of containers, etc. Also we can discuss in this particular session. So coming to microbiological or microbial degradation. So contamination of a product may sometimes cause a lot of damage and sometimes may not be anything at all. Thus, it is dependent on type of microbe and its level of toxicity it may produce. So depending upon the type of microbe and the level of toxicity produced by the microbes, the product will be affected. So before completely going into the details, let's see what are the factors, different factors that cause degradation. A small insight into the factors causing degradation, then we will better understand the microbial, chemical, and physical degradation processes. And why this degradation is actually causing and how this degradation is actually taking place. So another small example here. If you take a small bottle of an old sample of pure aspirin and smell it, you can clearly feel the unmistakable odor of acetic acid. If you granulate aspirin and make it into tablets, the rate of decomposition will be faster. And if you formulate it into a suspension, it will decompose totally into acetic acid and salicylic acid in less than 25 days. So see here, again, we are quoting an example where when we formulate aspirin, it is going to decompose fast. How and why this is happening is, this is because of the breakdown, and this breakdown is a chemical reaction involving the collisions of molecules, collisions having sufficient energy and molecules having proper orientation. So this degradation is being produced because of collisions of molecules. When these collisions produce certain energy and the molecules that have proper orientation undergo collisions, usually this degradation takes place. And this breakdown may be because of oxygen, acidity, alkalinity, moisture, light, etc. And this breakdown because of these factors is termed as degradation. The breakdown because of these factors like presence of oxygen, acidity, alkalinity, moisture, light, etc. is called as degradation. These factors may cause the drug to undergo different reactions like solvolysis, hydrolysis, acid hydrolysis, alkaline hydrolysis, racemization, etc. All these may take place in a drug molecule. All these reactions may occur in a drug molecule because of these factors like presence of oxygen, acid, base, or alkalinity, or presence of light, etc. These are the factors, and the reactions are like oxidation, reduction, photolysis, alkaline hydrolysis, acid hydrolysis, etc. are the reactions that are produced in the substances because of these factors, due to which the degradation results. So, dear students, this is about a brief insight into how degradation will be taking place and what are the causes of degradation. And coming to the microbial degradation, this may be caused because of the presence of microbes, and the effect may be depending upon the type of microbe or the level of toxicity that is produced by the microbe. And hence, this can be avoided to a certain extent by using an appropriate or a proper preservative. This can be avoided, this microbial degradation can be avoided by using a proper preservative. But there are certain troubleshootings even to be faced in the because of the degradation caused by microbes also. For example, pyrogens. Pyrogens are usually the metabolic products usually seen during a bacterial growth. And these are toxins. Pyrogens, which are the metabolic products of bacterial growth, are usually lipopolysaccharides, and they represent a particularly hazardous product released by gram-negative bacteria. If administered inadvertently to the patient, they may cause chills and fever. So these are certain adverse effects because of the microbial growth in a product. So proper preservatives under proper conditions are to be used. So this is what we have discussed. A preservative has to be used and it must have a required oil to water partition coefficient. It must be non-toxic, odorless, stable and compatible with other formulation components while exerting its effects. Then a preservative will give a proper result to the product. The next one is containers. Traditional glass containers do not interact with the preservatives. So if you use a glass container, they do not interact with preservatives. If the closure is airtight, then there is no problem of contamination. But plastic containers pose problems such as permeation through the container into or interaction within. So there is a problem with plastic containers. As they permeate into the container, there are also certain problems that are posed by rubber closures and rubber teats that are used. They may react with the preservatives when they come into contact with it during storage times. So these are certain problems when we use a plastic container or a rubber closure or a rubber teat. To some extent, metal tubes that are used in cases of ointments may react with the drug product or with the preservative that is present, and therefore lead to contamination, which is nothing but degradation, or which can be considered as a degradation of the drug product. Then coming to chemical degradative routes, as I told you, we will be discussing microbiological, chemical and physical degradative routes. So we have just discussed about the microbial route. Now we are discussing about the chemical degradative routes. So there are very important chemical degradation pathways. The first one is the solvolysis. Solvolysis is a process where the drug undergoes decomposition when it reacts with the solvent which is present in the solution. When the drug reacts with the solvent itself in the solution, then it undergoes decomposition. This process is called as solvolysis. Usually substances like esters, lactones, lactames, carbonyl compounds usually undergo this reaction of solvolysis. What happens actually in this solvolysis is solvent is water sometimes, or usually solvent is water. But sometimes the reaction may involve pharmaceutical co-solvents such as ethyl alcohol or polyethylene glycol. What happens is these solvents act as nucleophiles attacking the electropositive centers in the drug molecules. So this produces the solvolysis reaction actually. The solvents act as nucleophiles and attack the electropositive centers in the drug molecules. Usually this happens in carbonyl compounds, esters, lactones and lactames. Then coming to oxidation or air oxidation, when a compound is exposed to air, usually oxidation takes place, and this is also referred to as auto-oxidation. Usually aldehydes, alcohols, phenols, alkaloids, unsaturated fats and oils are all susceptible to oxidation, oxidative degradation pathway. So these oxidative mechanisms are usually complex, involving removal of an electropositive atom, radical or electron, or conversely addition of an electronegative moiety. This actually takes place when oxidation is taking place in a compound. They involve removal of an electropositive atom, radical or electron, or conversely addition of an electronegative moiety. So, and oxidation reactions can be catalyzed by oxygen, heavy metal ions, and light, leading to free radical formations. Usually, this takes place in aldehydes, alcohols, phenols, alkaloids, unsaturated fats, and oils. Then coming to dehydration. It is nothing but removal of or elimination of water molecule from the structure. It is also possible with anhydrous compounds, as they may have different dissolution rates compared to their hydrates. Dehydration reactions involving water of crystallization may potentially affect the absorption rates of dosage forms. So this elimination of water from the structure, if it happens to the anhydrous compounds, it may affect the dissolution rates because when this dehydration takes place, resulting in the formation of the hydrates, they have different dissolution rates, and they have different the water of crystallization changes, and this may potentially affect the absorption rate of the dosage forms. This is about dehydration. Then a few examples for these dehydrations are prostaglandin E2, tetracycline. The preferred route of degradation in these compounds is elimination of water molecule from their structures. Simple elimination of water molecule is a process of dehydration that takes place in these compounds. What happens actually when the water molecule is eliminated is, it leads to the formation of a double bond that can participate in electronic resonance with neighboring functional groups. It leads to the formation of a double bond that can participate in electronic resonance with neighboring functional groups, resulting in the changes of its structure, resulting in the changes of water of crystallization, and therefore resulting in the changes in its absorption rates. This is how dehydration causes degradation. Then coming to optimal isomerization. So what are optical isomers? We all know the cis isomers, trans isomers, etc. And we also know what racemization is. It is a type of isomerization when one type of the drug converts into the other form, that is conversion of cis form into trans form or conversion of trans form into cis form. What is optical activity actually? So when a substance is placed in the path of light, the capacity of the drug to rotate the light to a certain angle is called its optical activity. Based on that, they are divided into levorotatory if they rotate the light to left hand side, and dextrorotatory if they rotate the light to the right hand side. And racemic isomers are the cis forms and the trans forms. And here we are discussing about the degradation because of this type of optical isomerization. Optical isomerization takes place when one form or cis form gets converted to trans form, or trans form gets converted to cis form. And during this conversion, actually, their therapeutic activity changes. When one form changes into the other form, therapeutic activity changes and therapeutic index changes. And when there is such a change, when there is a reduction in its therapeutic activity, it can be noted as degradation because of optical isomerization. Then coming to hydrolysis, drugs with functional groups such as esters, amides, lactones, or lactames are most susceptible to hydrolytic degradation. Esters, amides, lactones, lactames are usually, they undergo hydrolytic degradation. So this is most commonly encountered mode of drug degradation because of the prevalence of such groups in the medicinal agents and because of the nature of water. So this is one of the reactions. And usually drugs with functional groups such as esters, amides, lactones, or lactames are usually susceptible to hydrolytic degradation. Then coming to photolysis. Photolysis. This is because of the degradation that is produced in light sensitive drugs because of light. It may be normal light, room light, or sunlight, or ultraviolet light that may cause damage to the drug substances. This is called as photolytic degradation. Then coming to the physical factors. In that, the first one is polymorphs. Polymorphs is nothing but existence of one compound in one or two forms. That is called as polymorph. When one form gets converted to the other form, usually in this case also, their energy changes. And when their energy change, energy of crystallization changes. And when such energy changes take place, therapeutic activity changes. And this is going to also be noted as degradation. Then coming to vaporization. Many drugs and excipients may be lost from pharmaceutical products at ambient temperatures because of vaporization. These drugs and excipients possess a sufficient high vapor pressure that they are volatile at room temperature. So evaporation may also cause certain of the drug substances or excipients to move into the vapors and leading to the reduction in therapeutic activity. And this is the degradation because of vaporization. Then water loss. Water loss is nothing but evaporation of water from liquid preparations will also cause concentration of the drug with possibility of crystallization occurring if the solubility of the drug in the solvent is exceeded. So water evaporates, crystallization takes place and concentration increases and it leads to the adverse effects. This also can be noted as drug degradation. The next one is absorption of water. So absorption of water by certain drugs like hygroscopic drugs or deliquescent drugs and pharmaceutical products may also lead to degradation. So water will be absorbed from the atmosphere by drugs and pharmaceutical products. For example, some are deliquescent like calcium chloride and some are hygroscopic like glycerol, and effervescent powders and tablets will deteriorate if stored in moist atmosphere. This is regarding absorption of water, may also cause degradation. The next one is particle sedimentation. We all know this comes across with suspensions and emulsions. This is mainly seen as creaming of emulsions when the disperse phase contain large globules as a result of collisions and aggregation of small globules. A cake is formed at the bottom of the emulsion, and this leads to degradation pathway and reduction in the therapeutic efficacy. So particle sedimentation that is caused because of large globules, collisions, and aggregation of smaller globules in an emulsion or a suspension may lead to degradation. This is one of the degradation pathways. So, dear students, we have discussed regarding different types of drug degradation pathways. So, what actually it is where the breakdown of a drug is a chemical reaction involving collisions of molecules. The reaction routes by which most pharmaceuticals degrade are hydrolysis, oxidation reduction, photolysis, racemization, and decarboxylation. And we can describe the degradative routes as chemical and physical. The degradative route will be chemical when new chemical entities are formed. That means because of degradation, if a new entity or a new chemical entity is formed, it can be termed as chemical degradation or decomposition. When the drug loss does not produce distinctively different chemical products, it can be termed as physical degradation. This is regarding degradation, dear students. And these are the references for drug degradation. And thank you. So I hope you all have understood what drug degradation is. And this particular concept is very, very useful to understand the stability studies, forced degradation studies.